All out there, man. Hey, man. Hey, it's your boy, dude, man. Back at you, man. Look, a bounce back like I should have bounced back a long time ago. But now, got something special going on, man. This is going to be so beautiful. Listen, man, it's a new collab going on, man. Right now, real, real talk. Can't make this shit up. Look, excuse me for saying shit. Every now and then that might slip out. You know what I mean? SHYT. Spell it different. But listen, anyway, got something going on special. Got something going on real special, man. I said, you know what? Sometimes you got to balance the scales, man. And I think dynamics and all that makes a difference, man. So with that being said, listen, man, it's your boy, dude, man. We about to bring you something special tonight. I know y'all been waiting on it too, man. So look, check this out, man. Got no longer a guest, but special. Take the guest off. Special. Hey, man, 1 + 1 = 2. It's a dual effect now. You getting a voice and influence, you understand me? And we coming live with it with your boy, dude, from Delete That Podcast, man. Now, running some collab stuff with one of the best at it, with another one of the best at it. So with two best at it, we got to come up with greatness. Y'all agree with that? All right, with that being said, man, I'm going to bring that person in, man. And we're going to welcome, We're going to welcome a voice and an influence, man. Y'all give it up for a voice and influence, man. You feel me? What up with you? What up with you, man? Let the people know a little something as you come back to the stage, man. After a long, long hiatus, man, and getting some thoughts together, we decided to bring y'all something special tonight, man. I'm gonna let her tell her a little bit about herself, man. But before she say that, I want y'all to know, man, tonight, how to find. Let me search. Let me look. Let me see. How to find success in a relationship. Hey, man, tell them about yourself, a person of influence.
What's up, Delete That Podcast? It's your girl, voicing the influence, the authentic powerhouse, okay? I am so excited to be here. Thanks, Coach Du, for sharing your platform with your girl, okay? You know, you can always count on truth, love, and transparency coming from me. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to bring the tea, okay? And also that substance, okay? A woman of God, okay? And a super powerhouse in her field, okay? I'm a licensed clinical social worker, okay? And also I have a ministry on TikTok, okay, entitled A Voice and an Influence, where I give prophetic words. You can also find me on YouTube, okay? And also I have a brand called Up, okay? Uncommonly peculiar, okay? Because we in the world, but we not of the world, okay? So we are just trying to become better people one step at a time.
Yes,
okay?
yes,
One step at a time. That's
One
it.
step, that's it.
That's
That's
it.
it. 1 foot in front of the other.
That's it. Baby
Watch
steps
out.
still moves us forward, okay? They
Yeah,
still move us forward.
that's right. That's right. And eventually we'll get there, huh? It's about the journey. You got to embrace that journey. We always say that. You got to
Yes,
embrace
and I
that journey.
stay dropping the jewels to get you through the journey, okay? That's what a voice and influence is here to do, to support you through your growth so you can reach the highest expression of yourself.
And I like the way she said highest, right?
The
Right.
highest.
Ooh, huh? It gotta be a special way. It gotta be a special way, man. So, like I said, man, today we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna help some people. It's gonna reach some people. It's gonna land on dry soil. It might land on might land on some thorns. You know what I mean? But it's gonna land and it's gonna plant some seed tonight. Because we're gonna tell them how to become successful in what most people find to be hard, right? Relationship. And the crazy part about it, watch this. It's all type of relationships, right? So we gonna it's friendships. That's a relationship. Your relationship with your higher power, your God, is relationship with your intimate significant other. Is your relationships, man. How to become successful in relationships. What you think about this?
I think relationships are essential because we can't escape them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. we came into this world with a relationship with our mother, okay? Because we
Yeah,
was in the womb,
yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah. We established that there,
Right.
right?
But
Yeah.
first we had that relationship with our creator because he said, before you knew me, I formed you in your mother's womb. So we can't
Ooh,
escape
yeah,
relationships, okay? It's
okay,
just about navigating those relationships now.
right,
Ain't so
right,
easy, okay?
okay,
It can make or break us because
okay,
relationships
okay,
with any human being is challenging.
okay, okay. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, man, we're gonna start with the first topic, man. How to keep your relationship going strong. How to keep your relationship going strong.
What kind of relationship we talking about?
Well, let's start. Okay, let's start. Let's say let's go with relationship with significant other. Because
Okay.
then we want people to hear it. We want them to give
Yeah.
them the real drum in, and then we gonna close them out, right? You know what I mean? So with that being said, we can start with relationships. We'll get that out the way because they're gonna have people
Okay.
want to hear that, right? So
Yeah,
we're
of
gonna give you
course.
that, and then through giving you that, maybe you follow the rest of the story and hear the close. You know what I mean? So relationships, something that's a touchy topic to a lot of people that don't like to converse, right? And talk about some things and they rather fight it out.
Mm.
But we experience all type of relationships, right? You got the ones that appear to be good. Then you have the ones that abusive behind closed doors. You have the ones that's abusive in and outdoors. And then, you know what I mean? And you have some ones that has truly built off stability, right? And endurance and you know what I mean, longevity, right? And I think in some of them essence you find yourself and you know what you found in the same, you know what I mean, essence. It don't take long, right? But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think overall, when you talk about relationships, I think how you do one thing is how you do all things. So I think that your relationship with yourself is going to really be the precursor of how you're going to be in relationship with other people, whether that be an intimate relationship with your significant other, or that be a
Right,
business relationship, or that be a relationship with your children,
right,
or that
right,
be a friendship, right?
right,
I just think that a lot of times relationships are challenging because of the lack of internal work that one will do on with themselves. I think it
right,
kind of spills over into the relationship. And sometimes if you don't have a partner who's willing to go through that journey with you, it can get hard because they too can be, dealing with their own personal internal issues as well. And so sometimes, like you said, it comes to a head and now we need some therapy, or we about to call it quits, or we gonna fight it out and we gonna, get to the bottom of it and meet, to some type of common ground.
right, right, right.
Mhm.
So I I think in keeping it strong, right? Um, I think that it's a lot of spontaneous things that should happen periodically, here and there, where you redate each other or you refine each other, right? And just to constantly see the quality in each other, right? And you
Mhm.
look at your significant other and you're able to see, you know what I mean, what you love about them, right? Not what I like, but what you love about them, right?
Mhm.
Even when you argue or get into it, like I still see you, I still see what attaches me to you, right?
Mhm.
And I think even at its toughest times, man, I mean the toughest, that you still have to have that as a to go to, right? Because
Mhm.
when you lose complete, uh, I would say value, complete, um, that thing you see, right? That attaches you. So when you lose that completely, like you can't see that no more, then you know that it's 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 caused by something, right? And that's why I think for both sides of those significant others, like you have to play your part. You have to make sacrifices on both ends, not just on one side, because it's gonna take both sides to make those sacrifices, right? Even when you don't, right? The agree to disagree, the agree to, you know what I mean? The things you gonna have to sacrifice your ego, you know what I mean? And that that alone, when people like grab that concept and find that that's the real reality to keeping something strong, right? Because you still see the value in that person. So that thing that keeps you together. But once you lose sight of that, then it's a problem again. You know what I mean? So what you think on that? Like, what's your take from a female perspective? Because I could, we're gonna get in depth on some of the things that we look for, but what's your take on the female side of that?
I think communication is key. I think
Mhm.
from women, we love communication. We love that open communication. So I think that before you can be spontaneous, or you can indulge in new things with a woman, that communication can be a barrier if we're not getting that, because we love transparency and we love to feel safe, and a lot of times it's a mental safeness, and also
Right,
emotional safeness that we need, and a lot of times it's through the form of communication. So when a woman gets to a point where she doesn't want to communicate, then it's because she's shut down and she's really hurting. And I think
right,
that at that point, it's important to seek, some type of, spiritual counseling, some therapy, something, so that she can be heard. Because sometimes, like we were talking about, I think you get to that point where you just hit a roadblock where you need that intervention. You just need someone who is mutual, right?
right,
Non-biased, who can be
right,
on the outside looking in, to be
right,
able to kind of hear both sides and to kind of
right,
bridge that gap. Because sometimes it's not necessarily like one person is doing something wrong or the other person is doing
right,
something wrong. It just sometimes it's just we not understanding each other. We
right,
clashing,
right,
and a lot of times it can be because of we all grow over the course of
right,
years.
right,
We're not how we used to be when we were in high school.
right,
Like we've all
right,
grown. You know what I mean? And we grow into new people, and then there's been
yeah,
a lot of just like changes with I feel like everybody's being entrepreneurs now. Everybody's trying to embark on some type of creativity and do something new. I feel like a
right,
or kind of come to type of common ground when you're being creative, or when you are wanting to do something different, or
right,
things are just changing, like you were saying about the spontaneousness of being able to maybe just open up with one another. I think
right,
that intimacy is important, but a lot of times, like I said in the beginning, it starts with the internal work, because it's that intimacy. Like if we don't feel that in the inside, then it's going to be hard for us to
right,
connect.
right, right. Right. And the craziest part, man, because I look at it like you say communication, and when that communication starts to
Mhm.
become limited, then that's when the disconnect start happening, right? Because we don't have nothing to talk about anymore.
Yeah, for
What we
sure.
talking about is, what I mean, short, quick, and it's that the scariest part is when that stops, right? And it
Yeah.
start dwindling in the way we don't have no conversation. There's a disconnect. Now, because again, it goes by, like I say, when one another stop seeing each other, right? I don't see you any longer, right? I see you physically, but emotionally and spiritually and soulfully, I don't see you, right?
Yeah.
And and it happens in a lot of relationships. When you think about, I use guys for instance. Guys, there's quite, you know what I mean. I ain't gonna use percentage, but there's men out there that enjoy the fact of being with different women, right, and get over the woman just as fast as he met her, right, and and it happens a lot, right? We know it happens a lot, and you wonder like, why is there no connection there? Like the last one gave you what the last one gave you, it ain't changed. It hasn't changed. It's the same thing, right? You're getting the same thing from the woman when you sleep with this one now, blah blah blah. But why there is no connection? Because he don't see her. He see her physically, but
Mhm.
emotionally and spiritually and
Right.
soulfully, he don't see her. Right?
Right.
It's another, it's a territory. I did that. I listened to Tyrese was speaking with Kirk Franklin on their show and stuff, and he said, "Man, he said my body count is so high." He said, "I'm not going to say the number." He said, "But he said he met a guy, an older fella, one time, and he said, 'How many is enough?'" Right? And he said it made him realize, like, yeah, I had a fame, and what come with the fame, he said, man, I was doing shows, and the only people that was showing up to my shows, that was packing the show, was all women. Dudes wasn't coming to see him sing. Like, you know what I mean? You singing all songs to women. So why they in that listening? So, but your women, I mean, the men, women are going, right? Their side pieces are going. So, and he's saying he was sleeping with so many different women, right? But there was no attachment, no, you know what I mean? No, and that's why it's like, so in the relationships they maintain, like you said, from communication. Communication is key in all relationships, all type of ships. Like I tell the kids for football championships, you got to communicate, man. If you want to be the best, you got to
Mhm.
communicate, right? You have to, and but you have to always, I think, evolve with time, not change and adapt to what's going on, but you have to evolve with it, and that's the spontaneous part, right? What we gonna do next? We gonna, you know what I mean? Oh, let me plan this. Let's spark it up a little bit, and you when you think about it, you were able to do the same thing you did at home. You could go out and travel. Oh, I'm going to France, and we going to Paris, and we gonna go see this. You're gonna go sightsee, and it's gonna be special. It's romance, and you gonna lay with your significant other the same way you gonna lay with her at home, him at home, your significant other at home, right? And what changed, right? Because you got the same feeling, except the spontaneous, being spontaneous and saying, let's do this now. And let's do this. And you constantly do things, I think, throughout your years. A lot of people think they're going to work, and when I retire, then we're going to do all these things. And them relationships tend to not last, right? Because there's nothing going on, but you working and coming home, you working and coming home. I'm tired of that, right? Vice versa, it's the same thing. The woman pursue a career and work, 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 and the man like, I need time, and you like, I gotta get
Yeah.
up for work.
You got to make time.
Hmm.
Yeah, you got to make time for the relationship because how can two walk together yet they
Yeah,
agree, right? So a lot of times I think in relationships what happens is especially when you have two people who are, in heavily in their career and they're, and they have children on top of that, like you have to make time for the relationship. If not, the relationship is going to suffer. Like that's just the reality of the situation. And to act as if that's not going to occur is to be a bit delusional because that's just the reality.
no,
Whatever you don't invest in, whatever you don't put your time into is going to eventually
right,
leave, right?
right,
It's going to eventually decline,
right,
right? And so it's important to invest into your relationship. Anything that you want to continue to grow is going to require that
hmm,
reciprocity. But I also think that sometimes in relationships we tend to sweep things under the rug
Right.
and not to really actively put forth the effort to change certain behaviors that may be causing the relationship to be
Right.
affected. Because I know when it comes to women, like if there's something that we're constantly speaking on, constantly bringing up that's just not working
Right.
for us, after a period of time we're not going to keep bringing it
Right.
up,
Right.
right? And then eventually, the partner may be looking for a certain type of, let's say, like you said, like some
Right.
spontaneousness, but you literally have a roadblock
Right.
there. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's one of those things where things become stagnant because we're not in flow
Right.
anymore. We're not flowing,
Right.
right? We're not flowing. So in order to address the flow, we have to go back to the situation that caused us to have this issue in the first
Right.
place. But like I said, the communication is important because you continuously grow. You continuously grow over the course of years, and so you have to be able to communicate with one another, and you have to be vulnerable, and that gets hard because as you be vulnerable, that's submission, right?
Uh-oh.
To
How
be
you know
vulnerable is
it?
to
How
submit.
you know it? How you know it? Look what the next topic is when you say that. Oh my God. Huh? See,
What?
see, this is crazy because like I said, as they stay tuned, they gonna get to the end, right? And you hit the word. I said, look at the topic saying that. Huh? Look at
Submission.
what are
Is it
what are
submission?
examples of being submissive and humble in a
Oh
relationship?
Lord. Okay, I'm gonna hit you with this
Oh
one.
my God.
You want to ask the question? You want to go
I
into
got
it?
the
Cause I got
I
some for
got
that.
hey man, the people want here. You hear me? The people want here, and I got to come with it. And this the craziest part is like before we started, and you was like, man, you ain't hit me up. You was supposed to call me. You was supposed to text me and tell me what it was. I said, you know what? Sometimes we gotta give the people the real, man. Ain't gotta rehearse nothing. We ain't gotta
Right.
plan nothing.
This is
Yeah,
raw,
it's going
uncut.
on.
Raw,
And
uncut.
that's the only way I can give it to
Live.
you, man. What's said it? You see what the topic say on that screen? Don't just tune into the next episode, but we gonna give you the real, the raw, and uncut. Speak your truth. You hear me? You hear
Yes.
me? So
Yes.
man, listen, man. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk. Let the people hear, man. I want to hear your take on this right here. Oh
Submission.
my God.
So I only can speak from experience,
Okay.
right? So what I've come to realize, because the first time I submitted to a relationship was when I submitted to God,
Okay.
right? I don't think I've ever been in a relationship where I 100% submitted to the person,
Okay. Okay.
ever. Now, I have submitted to God, and then I've kind of went back on, my word, and then ended up in a situation whereas God ended up showing me myself. And what I can say about submission is a form of people pleasing.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And so
Okay. That's a heck of
and
a way of
so
putting it
I
now.
that's
Huh?
why,
I said that's a
huh?
hell of a way of putting it. That's a good.
Yeah, it's a form of people pleasing, and that's why I truly believe, how I opened up is that how you do one thing is how you're going to do everything. And so, until you are fully submitted to God, I don't really think that you can submit to
Right.
anyone, because
We
your
lie.
husband, you know, is supposed to be submitted to
Okay.
God, and if he's submitted to God, then there's no reason why you can't submit to him,
Okay. Okay.
right? Because he's going to lead you into spirit and truth, just like the Holy Spirit, just like God do.
Right.
And so the voice of a stranger you will not listen to. So you will have that discernment as a wife to know,
Right.
that, okay, this is what God is telling our household to do. But outside of that covenant, I'm not in that covenant. So I believe that submission is people pleasing
Right. Right.
outside of marriage. Um, and if your husband is not being led by God, then it still can be people
Right.
pleasing,
Right.
right? So, um, but yeah, because we're taught from early on to listen to authority. We're taught early on, as children, to do as I say, not as I
Right,
do,
right,
right?
right,
A lot of people have been raised that
right,
way. And so even when you get to public school, you have to listen to your
right,
teachers, not and it doesn't mean that they're always
right,
right. So it kind of dilutes your your self reliance. It's kind of reduce your autonomy. It kind of reduces your own self identity in a
okay,
sense. And so I just feel like a person has to develop all of that.
right,
You have to know who you are in Christ. You have to know your worth. You have to know your boundaries. You have to know your non-negotiables. Like you have to truly know who you
right,
are before you can submit to someone else. If not, you're just going to be people pleasing and it's never going to be
wow,
enough. It's never going to be enough.
wow, wow. So, so with that being said, so we know that you have to be humble. You have to be a humble
Yes.
individual. You with that humility on both sides, right? There should be humility, and I think understanding their places, not as some people take that and what you mean my place? Well, no, no, I'm not saying it like that. I do, but hey, man, don't try to put me in my man. I'm the man. Yeah, you the man. Nobody's doubting that. But there is a position that we would consider a
Yes.
place, right?
Yes.
Understanding that you
Hmm.
know your place and the position and role you hold, right? And if you live in those positions in your place, meaning that the way it was intended for man to be the provider, right? And people are here, oh man, you selling out, man. Oh, it's have, it's have. Yeah. If yeah, the way today economy is, and depending on where you live at, sometimes it take both bringing in income, right? And you want to be a lot of people, a lot of guys want to be the man and don't want to lose their position, right? And and saying that oh well I supposed to take care of you. No, I'm gonna figure it out, and you make it hard on yourself, right? Because pride and ego is saying that I could do it. No, I don't want you to. And because of where you the circumstances you live in, you have to humble yourself and say I got to be willing to accept the help, right? Until I'm blessed to be in a better position, we know the overall goal is to take care of one another, right? We the happy ending that we should have, and being in a place to where you should be, they shall be like what you dreamed of, right? And it comes with a lot of humility and submissiveness on both ends, meaning a give and take relationship, right? And and sometimes we say that men is the stronger vessel. So we should be able to give a little more, right? You'll think, right? We shouldn't have, and we could take, meaning we should be, it's a load we could carry on our back because this is the way it was designed and intended. So our patience and our virtue as a man should be with that humility, but understanding that you got to be you want to be the king, but you don't want to act like the king. You want to be the king, but you acting like a joust, right? And you calling joust shots like you're a king. So if you want to be the king, then with that, not only do I want to have that position or that place or that title, but I have to live in that same standard. I have to be living up to what I'm claiming to be. Because I can't
Yes.
live beneath that and then won't act like it. And now I'm pretending, right? And the relationship struggles because of the
Uh-huh.
pretense on the outside, because we
Yeah.
weren't about people pleasing, like you said. We weren't about what the show, what it looks like, what the perception is. We can't let them know that it's not going like that. We can't let them know. So when you have that, I think, and you realize that part, that gives you an advantage, you know.
Yeah. You have to have those boundaries, especially like when you're in your singleness. You have to learn that because once you get to a whole
Right,
marriage, like you have to be in certain posture,
right,
right? And you have to ensure that you are protective of the
right,
marriage, right? Because there's going to be certain things that's going to go for people who are single that is not going to apply to
right,
you,
right,
right? Because you have
right,
a whole nother person who you have to consult with and make sure that you guys are in alignment to however it is for your marriage. And so I think that's why it's so important as singles that we develop ourselves and we get to a point where we have those boundaries for
right,
ourselves, so that when we do get into a marriage, we're able to have that open communication of what we can tolerate, what we can't tolerate, and be able to, understand when you've reached your
right,
limit, and be able to seek help,
right.
right? Because I'm going to continue to say this: relationships are
Ooh,
hard, right? And it doesn't matter
ooh.
what type of relationship, like just relationship with your children,
Wow,
right?
wow.
Any type of
See,
human, the
see,
relationship is going to be
there you go.
hard.
There you go. See, and that's why I say it's so versatile, the topic. And the first thing that people look for inside that topic is just that intimate relationship. They don't even think about the intimate relationship with God. They're just saying, their higher power. They're just saying their intimacy in the flesh with one another, right? And they look
Right.
for the help and how do I get this person to love me? Or how do I get this person to respect me? Or
True.
how do I get this person? And if you're
Yeah.
thinking like that, then you're in the wrong type of relationship, right? If I have to
Yeah.
get you to love me, or get you to treat me right, get you to respect me, then what you can't be what's right for me. This ain't what God sent me. This ain't what my if I, like what
Mm-mm.
like this a catastrophe.
No, that ain't
Like
gonna
what
work.
what like this what you said?
That ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
And like you were talking, just to go backwards, when you were talking about Tyrese and his
yeah,
experience of, I think you were talking about
yeah.
Tyrese or Kurt
Tyrese,
Franklin,
Tyrese,
one of
yeah.
them, probably both of
Tyrese,
them, but
yeah.
had multiple partners,
Right,
right? And it's just one of those things where, like, when you are single, right, you have to get to that point where you've made that decision for yourself. It can't be because of the other
right,
person,
right,
because if it's because of the other person, then as soon as that person does something that doesn't
right.
align with what you felt like they should do, you're gonna be back doing the same thing
Uh-huh.
that you were already doing.
Right,
Right now, you done ruined. Now the relationship is damaged, and now you got to go through repairing. And it's
right,
hard to repair a
right,
relationship, right?
right,
Sometimes you just can't. It's just
right,
unrepairable,
right,
right? And you have to have that discernment to know when enough is enough, and be able to do what you need to do. But I just think that a person has to develop that understanding of God being ahead of their
right,
life,
right,
and you have to commit to it. Because, like, if you betray
right,
yourself to be with a person,
right,
then that's what that relationship is going to require. It's going to require for you to keep betraying
right,
yourself in order to keep it
right,
alive.
right,
Because this is the pattern, that this is the sacrifice that you gave to be into
right,
the relationship.
right,
But if you allow yourself to develop and to get to the point where you know yourself and you know your value and you know your worth, and you allow God to send you your equal. And I really believe that love, to get into go a little bit
yeah,
deeper, I really believe that love is not an
right,
emotion. I believe it's a
right,
frequency. So I believe in order to attract your equal, that person has to be operating in the love
right,
vibration.
right,
And the overflow is what you guys give each other,
right.
right?
So
And
oh, I'm
so,
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
no, go
No, I
ahead.
was going to ask, what if the person, what if, say, the relationship is there, and we using hypotheticals now, and and say they're together, but there's some things that on either side that they could do to get to one another and push buttons, and
Hmm.
knowing like you're pushing them right,
Hmm.
and so you at times say you do it back and forth to each other now, because you do it to me, I'm doing it to you. What about those type of relationships? Because you have those that's
I think, yeah, I can give you an example, just like with children,
right,
right? I can give an example, but we can, use this in different
Right.
relationships. But I think whenever someone is triggering you, pushing your
Right.
button, I think the responsibility is
Right.
yours. Because a person, after living with someone for a long period of time, you're going to know what button to push to
Right.
get to them.
Right. Absolutely.
So if you keep pushing my button, it's my responsibility to make sure that the next time you push it, I'm not gonna
Right.
react.
Right.
Because now you're gonna see
Right.
yourself and you're gonna realize that the problem is not me, it's
Right.
you. Because why are you intentionally trying to push my
Right.
button? But if I know that, because in order for it to be a trigger, it has to be a wound
Right.
there. So my job is to clean up the
Right.
wound. Your job is to work on
Right.
work on why you feel the need to trigger
Right.
me.
What if that person, when say you don't respond, and you decide that I ain't respond, but now they take that as a weakness and they keep going. Then what? What you do?
And that's something, I mean, I feel like at that point, then it comes down to the person who's constantly getting, I mean, I won't necessarily say
Right.
abused,
Right.
but
Right.
you're I won't say that you're getting abused. But we all know that, abuse comes in many different forms. It can be emotional, it could be psychological, it could be
Right.
physical, it could be spiritual. There's
Right.
many ways to abuse anyone. And so I would just say, if a person is constantly intentionally trying to trigger you,
Right.
right? So they're constantly doing something that you've already voiced that are not okay
Right.
with, then I think it's on that person to choose how they're going to deal with that moving forward, because everybody doesn't want to
Right.
change, right?
Right.
Some people are set in their ways, and if I keep doing something to you and nothing's happening, I have no
Right.
consequence, then why would I even attempt to change my behavior unless I want to be a better person for
Right.
myself? But like I said, a lot of people don't want to change. Sometimes that's a way to keep them in the same space, because I know that I'm going to get your energy.
Okay.
I'm going to get a reaction out of you. And even if I'm not getting a reaction, it's doing something
Right.
for me. Like sometimes that does something for the person that's
Right.
doing it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So do you think from a woman perspective, from a man perspective, let's say, like there are men that they look for their women to be, their woman, I meant to say, to their wife or their significant other. They look for them to be submissive to, whereas we should, if I'm telling you it's going, if I could say, hey, I don't like where the conversation is going, I'm done with that. Leave that alone. It should be cut short at that moment. Not let me get I'm still going yap yap. All right, another time you know what I mean, I'm gonna come back at him with that. Yeah, it'd probably be better because I'd probably be in a different zone, right? Or he probably be in a different zone, or Jay probably be in a different zone. But I'm gonna just use me because I don't want to speak for other men, right? And just say that, or do I want come on, like you got men believe this, right? You got some men like this. I'm not saying I want to, but there are some men that come home expecting bad water to be ready, food to be cooked, and blah blah blah. Right? I'm not saying I'm one of them. I do want my food to be done. Like I am one of them where like food should be ready by the time I get home. Like I shouldn't be coming home and waiting for some after I done went earned and like so that's a different perspective, right? But I'm just saying there are guys that work and they got their housewives and and then you have them that are housewives that say I ain't doing none of this. I ain't clean. He better clean his own clothes, wash his own clothes, and put them up and do all these things. And you like, well, shit. Well, what I got you for? Like I'm gonna go earn and get all the money. Then you got the guy that has the woman, and they're both working in this balance, and he still expect her to be the wife. I understand you got the job, but that don't stop your job at home, right? because the man job don't stop at home as he ain't just the provider, but he's the protector, right? So he still got a job to do, right? So that means I'm protecting your feelings from being unprotected, your well-being. I'm protecting your sanity. I'm protecting everything that makes you happy, right? I'm protecting your heart from getting hurt. I'm protecting, right? So it's not just about standing out in front. I'm protecting. No, I'm protecting these things to keep you happy. Because if your heart get broke, you're gonna be sad. So you ain't happy, right? So can I protect you from those things? Yes, to an extent, right? Until you lose a loved one, something that's out of our control, right? Some things like that. But just to protect you, I suppose to make you happy. So and vice versa, you should protect that same protector and his feelings. This is just my perspective because you won't give yours. That protector from what he need protection from, right? When they say about the backbone and all, like I should have something to fall back on. When I didn't went out here and fought wars and come back, I should have something to fall. I shouldn't have to think of hate. And I'm just using for example. Hate, war is just like that ain't hate, but you got a job to do. But that's hate because you hurt somebody. But you coming back home, war is just war at work. The battles I had to fight and be submissive and be quiet. I had to take all that shit in. When I know they wrong me, I had to stay quiet because I didn't want to lose my job. I know they did this to my kid. I had to stay quiet because I didn't want to go to jail. So the things that we fight as a man, as the protector, when we come home to what we protect the most, right? You fight the wars on other land, other territories. You come home, it should be peace, right? But from the woman perspective, what your perspective is on
I think that whatever works for the couple is what should be routine,
that?
right? Whatever works. So agreement, communication is important because I don't like as far as like having a conversation and then you don't want to talk about the conversation, but we started having the conversation, you shut the conversation down. I feel like that's a control tactic.
Right,
And so there should always be respect with each identity, the woman being a woman and the man being the man, or however they identify that being respected as a human first,
right,
right? Before we get into the me being your wife or you being a husband or me being your whatever the relationship is, I'm a human first. So the person being respected in all aspects.
right,
But I do believe that women have an emotional, a lot of the emotional
as
and mental load
right,
that we take on as caretakers of the children, and then also caretakers of the men. And then also, if the woman is outside the home working as well,
right,
that's a lot. And then on top of that, the way our bodies are. So I think women have stronger and heavier emotional toll as women, just as women in general. And so when it comes to being a wife, I think that's a huge responsibility. And I think that it takes a lot to have to submit to another person. And so I just think that in totality that it's important to have that counsel, that wise
right,
counsel, because I don't think that often if you have all of that you're dealing with, the woman's dealing with all of the things that he's dealing with, sometimes each
right,
other can't be the outlet. Like you can't pour and drop all of your baggage of your day onto me because I have baggage also, right? Unless we have
right,
a routine that says, okay, at this time after we use Aiden, we've done everything that we've done. Now we're gonna take 10 minutes to pray and to create a safe space, and we're gonna you have to be intentional in those situations. And I think if both people are exhausted by the day and all of this is going on, you might not
right,
have the strength, you might not have the
right,
capacity, the mood might not be there to really deal with all of that. So I think
Right.
that counsel is important in a marriage. I think that marriages should be under some type of counsel, even if that's just the Holy Spirit. That's why I said take some
Okay.
time. You know what I mean? Even if that's just the Holy Spirit, right?
Right.
You
Right.
know, but
Right.
being intentional about that, like having a space where we say, okay, this is our space. In this
Right.
space we don't raise our voice. In this space, you know, we don't call each other out our name. I don't know, you know, whatever is the usual type of communication. We try to go over and beyond in this moment and
Right.
show up as our best self and communicate in a way that is non-judgmental, in a way that we can hear each other. And that way, like you said, you will be able to get what you need from your spouse and vice versa.
Right. Right. So, so now you say you don't agree with the killing the conversation part,
No.
right? So when you see something going wrong, you would allow the conversation to continue until it escalates.
No,
Basically,
what I'm
that's
saying
what
is
I'm saying
no,
about the
no, no.
de-escalate.
That's a good. Let me clarify. So what
That's what
I'm saying
I'm just
is
saying because I don't think I
no.
made
I
it
feel you.
clear,
I feel
and I
because
think I
that sounds
said it
toxic.
wrong. Yeah, yeah. It
That
sounds
sounds
that.
toxic. No.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is there should be an agreement.
Right.
Like it takes, because at the end of the day, two people should be respectful at all times.
Right.
If
And
you
that's the
know,
submissive part,
but I
right?
think
That's the
no, I think
humility.
that's respect.
Well, no, I'm saying that, but which still means the humility and the submissive part, right? Because that means I give you that much respect that I'm willing to, bow. You know what? You're right. I'm done. Not to say you gotta get on your hands and knees, but what I mean is that instead of escalating it, I'm gonna de-escalate because I see the kind. Like I could be talking with someone and I could see that we ain't in agreement. Like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna kill that. We're gonna leave that alone. And then that person could be like, nah, brother, let me finish that. No, bro, we ain't never about to agree right now. And if we keep going, we just gonna be going back and forth, creating a scene, right? So you kill it. Like, I'm done with that conversation, right? I had to do that just recently where I had to tell a person, because we're in front of a lot of people, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done with that conversation. I want to leave. And that
Yeah,
person,
but
okay,
I think that's different, Coach. I think when you're dealing with someone outside of a like if you're talking about your partner, I
yeah.
think that when you're talking about your partner, I think that there should be a mutual agreement, like, you know, because if someone's passionate in a conversation and they really want to speak about this and you've agreed to speak with them, and just because maybe you can't tolerate it at the moment, you shut them down and end the conversation. I feel like that is manipulating, and I feel like that is a tactic of control. So I think that in that situation, it's important for that person to validate how that person feels. Like, I know that you really want to talk about this right now. I see that this means a lot to you, but for me, I can't handle this conversation right now. So I'm asking that you will respectfully, you know, have this conversation at another time, basically.
So what
And,
if they
at
don't
least you've
agree and
offered.
they keep going? You just keep saying it, like,
Then at that point, I mean, but then at that point, then they are not respecting your request. Like, so someone's going to have to come,
so what do
because
you do?
if you're not really having a conversation, like conversation is give and
Right,
take. So if one person shut down, then it's not a conversation
right.
anyway.
But what do you do in that instance when you have graced them with that warning and they continue to say, no, I want to talk about it now, yada, yada, yada. So you just stay
Well, then you
into
tell them a
rage.
conversation takes two
But
people.
what I'm saying is they don't listen to none of that reason because they still won't get their point across, right? But
But then,
then,
I mean, that can be a form of
right.
disrespect
So what do
too.
you do? Do you stay there and listen and allow rage to build, or do you leave? Why it's good. You have to cut the conversation short, no matter how we look
Yeah,
at
I
it.
agree.
That's
I
what I'm
agree.
saying. So what
No,
you're
I
saying
agree.
is
I agree.
controlling and
But
abusive. No,
you have to be open.
that's the kind of stuff when a person is saying, "Wait, Listen, let me tell you what hurting me. Listen, shut up, woman. I don't want to hear that shit right now. This ain't the time. Then that's controlling. That's abusive. But when
And
and
disrespectful. Yeah.
disrespectful and manipulating that in that essence. But when you're saying if you and your partner are not at agreement with something, like, listen, man, I'm done with that conversation. This about to turn out bad. That's what I said initially. This about to turn out bad. I'm telling you the results of this conversation continuing on. Then that don't become manipulative. That's me giving you fair warning. Stop. The shit is building. I'm about to snap. I can't take this shit no more. Now, that at that moment you're supposed to know that individual. But remember what we started talking about was pushing buttons, right? So now I'm pushing a button when I know the ramification of where this could lead. Vice versa. It don't just got to be the man. The woman can say the same thing. Like, listen, I don't agree with you. I'm about to cut this. I'm conversation. You know what I mean? Because there's a boiling point that has reached its max to where we're saying, you know what? I'm done with this conversation. We got to stop now. And it's at that moment you're supposed to respect those wishes because that person is telling you what's coming out of their mouth is coming from where? Their heart, right?
Yeah.
And what goes in
Yeah.
the man, but it will come out. So what
But also too, in that situation, if you're in that situation and you've already conveyed that, I can't, continue this
right.
conversation. You as the person have to be able to walk away
Yeah. That's
because that's self-respect, right? And
yeah.
boundaries. Like that's what I'm saying. So that part comes first,
Yeah.
right? The self-respect and the boundaries of holding yourself
Yeah.
accountable, right? Because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you react and you
Right.
are going to be held accountable for the bad decision that
Right.
you made, so you want to walk away.
Right.
That, I think that's
Right.
maturity to do
Because
that. Yeah, for
when you
sure. So but that's what I'm
right,
saying, like in a relationship I think you can work through
right,
that, but
right,
in a situation where someone you don't know, sometimes you
yeah,
do just have to cut it short
right.
and
Because
walk
you
away.
gotta think,
It ain't gonna be no fair warning.
yeah, it ain't
You
gonna be nothing.
can't, the warning is me walking
Right.
away.
You feel me? But then when you think about
Yeah,
the
I feel
youth
you.
that get together, right? Because most of these abusive relationships start at young ages, right? And
Yeah.
it's young kids learning how to become adults, teenagers, 20 year, 21 year olds trying to learn what it is to live, and then it starts there, man. Like nobody just come out the blue. You know what? I feel like smacking the shit out you today. Like now
Hmm.
you have some psychological people with psychological issues that might do some crazy shit like that. But I am saying like in a relationship when they're young and they don't know how to cope with problems. And there's so much they haven't grown to the fact of you and I to the age where it's maturity to say let's converse, let's break down, conversate. They ain't there. So when you talk about the average person in a relationship that's between saying 15 to 39, don't even get to 40, but you know what I mean, because you still got some 40-year-olds acting a fool. But inside that age bracket, they're learning themselves. They're learning what it is to be on their own, to become a man. Now I'm really dependent.
Hmm.
Parents gone, yada yada yada. Pressures of the world. So there's so many abusive relationships like that because it starts there
Yeah.
when a
Yeah.
person is telling you to stop and you keep pushing the button and that, you know what I mean? And now we saying, okay, I know how he acted when he was young, so don't forget. I know how she acted when I was, don't forget. I know women that they hit men in the head with their cut it and run their household like they're the man. So it happens both ways, but
Yeah.
less than the other way, right? But it happens because we don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
And we
You're
keep
people
allowing
pleasers.
to add fire to the stove and don't turn the fire down. Keep turning that all the way to high. You know what I mean? Let's see if we gonna ball over. It's gonna ball over.
Yeah,
You
that's
got to
100.
stop.
That's
Right.
100.
So
Hmm.
that's why I say that like some people have to recognize because the person you met is the person you met. That 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 flesh that flesh that we know is wicked, right? The spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. We know that flesh still exists, yet it's bound because we bound it in heaven and we bound it on earth, right? Because we was once there. We who we were is who we were. Saul is still Paul. He just changed his name, right? So we understand that that person, he said, I had to die daily to the flesh. And there was a reason he had to die daily, because the flesh was keep trying to rise up, because that nature still exists, right? That sinful
Yeah, for
nature still
sure.
exists. So when you realize that in a relationship, so now here's where the closer come in, and we talk about the closure when I was saying relationship, that when we recognize spiritually that physically the nature is still there, then we're careful with what's bounded in chains, right? Well, we don't want to start unlocking a chain here and unlocking and seeing if the three gonna hold. It was meant to have five, and we keep taking a lock off one until eventually it just got one lock left and it get loose, right? But we got the keys to both sides, right? It's the keys to both sides. This is not just the man perspective, but the women. Like I said, it happens on both sides, right? Female, male, that's all it is. Some people identify as others, but I'm just saying there is a sinful nature that exists because of the flesh. And if you're not feeding the spirit more than you're feeding the flesh, then we know who's gonna win. That's quite naturally. So we put on that whole armor, the full armor, and that would keep us strong and protect us, right? And but when you identify with, it's like saying, if I use different terms, I'll use the example of saying, no, because I don't want to offend people if I use the example like that, like saying from both side, I'll let you talk from the one side. Don't go to that side. Because I don't want it to be like, well, that's what it is. No, I'm just using it for an example, and then my example get blown out of proportion. You know what I mean? But that's all I'm saying. Like it's a point of nature. Like Clarice, let's use the boxer Clarice, right? She can fight. So I doubt she just let the man beat her up, right? So I'm just using it as an example, like she can handle her own, right? And and she good with that. So him as the man, knowing he ain't trained, and he just growling one day, come put his hands on that woman, and she beat him up. Nobody could be upset at that moment because he know he married a boxer and she good. So when you push the button and you knew that she was a boxer, just because you got married don't mean that that nature ain't in her, right? She's a trained professional, so she gonna
Yeah,
put
but
them paws on
that's
you. She
crazy because
said,
I just no, I just think that everyone has to do the internal work on themselves.
"Yeah,
Okay. And you put yourself in a situation where it's toxic, that says a lot about you more than it says about the other person. You don't have to tolerate toxicity. But if you have issues with certain triggers, like I said, that means that there's a wound there. There's some things that may have happened in your childhood that's causing you to react in a certain way. When
right."
you're
But
dealing
remember,
with
we
someone
talking
who
about
is
that age
toxic,
bracket. Remember, we
huh?
talking about that age bracket. Don't
Yeah,
forget, we
but
talking
at
about from
that time,
15
but I'm saying
to
like at that time in that age bracket, even when
right,
you 15, I have a 16-year-old, so I talk to my daughter about this all the
right,
time. My point in all of that, what I was going to lead to was you need to do therapy because
right,
your nervous system, the way that you're structured, your physical, right? Before we start talking about the spiritual aspect of things, right?
right,
Spiritually, I mean, physically, you are going to be equipped to respond in a certain way just because of muscle memory, just because
right,
of the way that you have been raised, the environment. Like, this is going to be your natural response to things. So, as
right.
you start to recognize, right, your own issues, your own responses, your own reactions, right? You got to
Right.
control that. You got to control
But
that.
that's what I'm saying. When they're 15 and 16 and 7, they haven't even understood that. Remember what I said, that that age bracket, you and I then came to a level of maturity and understanding.
But I
But
have
we're
a four
talking
year old
about
coach. I
no,
got a
no,
four
what I'm
year old.
saying, I know. But what I'm saying is you got to think about, you're speaking of just your household. Every household ain't identical as yours. They haven't been raised the
True.
same way. So we're
True.
saying that teenager that don't hasn't come from that. that don't understand what structure is because
Right,
she
but
had
that
it.
doesn't
She had
mean that they
so
shouldn't be held accountable. See, when
no
we
no no no
choose
no. I
not to
ain't
hold
saying
them
that.
accountable,
I'm not saying that.
oh,
No
okay.
no no. You misunderstood me. What I am saying is when they don't realize that this is not normal, this relationship is not normal, that you're going through the abuse, you're going through, they don't understand that then because they're infatuated with what they think is love. And they follow their boyfriends and they follow their girlfriends and they'll go to jail with them and catch charges and blah, blah, blah. So we're talking about the many of people around the world. This
Right,
ain't, it's culture, right? So there's cultures that don't have structure. So
right.
we're speaking about how do they get out? We see the many of battered women in abusive relationship they've been in for 15 and 20 years. Why did
Hmm.
they stay? Because they didn't understand all
Right,
those years and they took it, right? Because they
right,
thought that this is what they had to do. So we
right.
can't just say that is yeah, they got to get out, they got to get we got to figure out how do they identify it at an early age, right? To see that even though we have all these speakings going on and but it still happens, right? We
Right.
see that we see the kids that got the girl memorial around the corner get killed for a boyfriend at 15 years old behind some gang stuff like saying some stuff on the internet, not thinking that it's going to lead to that, right?
Hmm.
But they're willing to go that far for their other significant other, and he's willing to go hurt another human being because she talking to him and speaking to him. He gonna go take his life and her life. So it works both ways. But what I'm saying is there are people that stuck there that
Yeah,
don't understand. So it's not
right.
about accountability. It's about how do I make them realize this ain't normal. The
Yeah,
behavior is not
yeah,
normal.
that, but it's all going to stem back to their childhood. It's all going to stem back to them owning their story and taking accountability. It's all going to stem back to that. Once you get them in a safe space to where you can address the concerns, because it's going to take them to make changes. It's going to take them because of the will, because of the spirit, because of they're the ones who's in the situation,
Right,
right? So it's going to all stem back to what they've learned over the course of their years, the environments that they've grown up in, what their belief systems are, right?
right,
Their feelings, their emotions. Like it's all going to stem back to the past, because before you have behavior you have thoughts, right? Before you
right,
have thoughts you have the feelings, you have your actions, then you have your beliefs that that chooses the actions, right? That's
right.
so
And
it's
some
all
of them
going to
are
stem back
taught
to all
behavior,
of that.
learn behavior.
Huh?
I said some of them are learned behaviors and taught behavior.
Yeah, they're most of it is all, because you got to
Mm-hmm.
think about it. When you come into this world, you come into this world as a blank canvas,
Yeah,
right? It's like a blank canvas. Nothing has happened yet. And as soon
right,
as you're put into an environment. You're put
right,
into, your parents' home or wherever you're stationed after, you enter into the earthly realm. And based on that environment, it's going to cultivate how you grow up and how you
right,
experience life and what you identify to and what you stick to and what you learn. Like all of it is pretty much learned behavior. That's why when you do go to therapy, a lot of it is unlearning those behaviors.
right,
A lot of it's just unlearning. The
right,
unlearning is what kind of gives you the point to where you can learn how to take accountability so that you can
right.
make better decisions.
So
So I
now,
think the teens, it's, just like, you
yeah,
try
because
to
you
reroute
got to
them
get
every
to a
day.
point. You got to get to a point to where you realize you need therapy, and that's what I'm saying to you. They have to get it just like it's a faith to faith, right? Some people faith are way down here, some people faith is way up here, right? You
Mhm.
can't tell them nothing like this is what I believe. I know it's going to happen. Faith, right? And it's the same thing with therapies and mindsets. Like we experience that raising kids, right? I have 5 sons, but one's deceased. But you learn through the process because even those relationships, man, and raising them, they still gonna come to a where they make choices that you don't agree with, right? And no matter how much you try to tell them that person ain't right for you or this person ain't, don't do it, blah, 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 they're gonna do what they want to do, right? And that
100.
choice, as much as you want to save them, you're praying to God at that moment and saying, God, you counsel. And eventually God gonna work. God don't do nothing overnight. Sometimes he do, sometimes it takes a time, right? He wanna work with the individual, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're praying that that individual stay covered by your prayers and nothing don't happen to him until God save him, right? I know a lot of people that can live life like that, including me, right? Grandmother, mama prayed until I woke up. So at some point, that's what I'm saying. It takes some people a shorter time, and sometimes it takes people years. The people
That's
was in
real.
the people was in the wilderness for 40 years because they
Amen.
didn't want to obey, right? They didn't want to. God told them to wait, but they still, their nature still chose, right? And
Right.
that's why I said the whole important part was the closer to keep people tuned in so they can see, man. So it still revolves around we understanding that how to keep a relationship successful. We understand it's the value you see in each other, right? Because we started off talking about that. I got to be able to see you. When I stop seeing you and the conversation get limited, it gets scary because now we're I'm not attached as I was, and it's starting to dwindle away, right? So we covered all that just to get back full circle to here to the end it with 5 key factors on a healthy relationship, how to keep it strong. Things that we covered was we understand that communication was a key, value was a key, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hearing each other was so key to the conversation that you got to hear the woman and the woman has to hear the man when the man said, "This is my problem with you."
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes that woman don't want to change and feel that pride rise up and I'm who I am and I'm in the pit. I'm telling you, I got a problem with that. Or you tell the woman vice versa, I got a problem with that. And that person not willing to consider it to show change. Let me see how I can protect your heart as the protector, protect your happiness, protect your peace, right? Protect our love. I got to already be prepared. That man has to already be prepared to protect. So we cover all those things. Now, 5 key factors before we go on a healthy relationship. Give me your top 5.
So my top 5 is to first do the internal work on yourself. Get to know yourself first before you enter into any relationship. I feel like you get to know yourself, which means you getting to know God, the God in you, and
Mm-hmm.
then know your boundaries, know your non-negotiables, and know what you are willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept, and then communication with your partner, making sure you're on the same page.
Okay.
And then number 3, making sure at all times you're respecting each other. 4, accountability. Make sure that you hold yourself accountable because you're not perfect. So it's going to be blind spots, biases that you will have. So you need to make sure that you hold yourself accountable. And number 5, never forget to stop loving each other. Never forget to keep that spark,
Okay.
right? Have
Okay.
fun. And then, yeah, have fun. Enjoy one another.
Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. I like that. I like that. And I got some of the same similar top 5. Like we know. Let's give it up for a voice and a reason.
A
You
voice and a
tell me.
reason.
Yeah. I don't worry about the
A voice
influence
and a
part right now.
reason. A voice and an
It's
influence.
I ain't worried about the parts of the influence part. It's a reason you was here tonight. Huh? Yeah. That's why I said that. You understand me? Now, as far as everything else, man, I like I said, I agree 100% with a lot of those things, man. Like those 5 key factors is commitment, right? For me, right? I listened to Denzel say one time, where there's no commitment, you'll never start, and where there's no consistency, you'll never finish. So commitment and consistency are my top two, right? For anything, man. Right? When you're committed to something, you commit to that, right? Through good, through bad, like you figure it out, right? That's to me one of the key factors in a relationship, man, and it keeps it strong, right? I look at me and my wife been together since we was 19. I'm about to
Mm.
be 50, so yeah, I mean put my age out there, but yeah, but that was through a commitment that was in my mind because I saw what I saw, the attachment, the value in it, right? So and all those years, that's consistency to where as a 19-year-old teenager, I knew what I wanted, right? I knew what I was going to be satisfied with, right? And you have your, as you grow in time at a young age, you have your flings and different things happen outside, but then you grow out of that, right? You like, man, I done been there, done that, right? I'm over that shit, right? You know what I mean? That don't that don't arouse me as much no more. That don't like it don't arouse like I ain't. You feel dirty afterwards. Like it's not something that you happy about. That's just somebody that's going through things, and without the communication and the humility and the submission. That's why I say that humility and submission work both ways, because a man has to submit sometime too, and be and have a lot of humility, because he has so much that he can carry on his shoulder, right? The weight. Not saying a woman can't, because there are some strong women out there that can do the same. But the consistency, it has to stay there, right? The spontaneousness that I talked about, that has to keep the relationship going. You have to figure out new things to do, right? Not just because I need to satisfy you or go spend money on you or do things like that. No, because let's enjoy life. Let's do some things, man. That we have memories. Life is about memories. At the end of the day, that's all you have is memories, right? You can't take your money with you. Can't take none of it. People will, your name will live on through memories, right? Some people money gonna run out, but memories carry on. That's why we have things like the Bible and the Torah that started things like it lived on, and it continued to live on all these years later, right? So we understand that, and without that, man, two other things that I believe in is just discipline and focus, right? Do discipline. That's when you're thinking about that full armor, right? You discipline, helmet, salvation, breastplate of rightness, feet shod with the proper, you know what I mean, with the gospel, the sword, the shield of faith. So you have all these same pieces, right? And you think your loins girded with the truth. So you have all these same pieces, and he reminds us of them there, right? But you're disciplined. And then you focus, you know what you want. You ain't letting nothing cross in your lane, because you're so dialed in, right? And you understand that there are gonna be temptations, there are gonna be fiery darts he throw at you. But because you got that armor on, and because you walk in your nature, now we're getting back to what I started with about your place, right? And understanding your place and your position. When you want to act as a king, you gotta walk as a king. Gotta talk as a king, right? You gotta believe and speak king stuff out of your mouth. You gotta know that when I speak it, it's my word. It won't come back void. If I told you that, that's what it was, right? I ain't got to lie to you. I ain't got the people be saying, man, you act like you don't care about your job. I ain't. I don't. It's like that. I am who I am with or without that job. I know who I am. So the job don't make me. That just provide a resource for me. But God gave me many talents that I don't have to rely on one, right? So those are my five, man. Commitment, consistency, discipline, focus, and spontaneous. So with that, I think it keeps things juvenated, man. Keep things in perspective when it get hard, and don't think that respect is not included in none of that, because that's inside the discipline part, right? And and you understanding again your place, and Now, that's how I separate somebody say, I'm putting you in your place and understanding your place. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my 5, man. With that, man, you know what I'm saying? You got anything you want to tell the people, man? Because I always leave them with a positive message before I head on out, man. You know what I'm saying? We brought this thing for an hour and 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Let the people know something special, man. Tell them something good, positive word from a
If you have
voice and
breath
an
in your
influence.
body, if you have breath in your body,
Uh-oh.
God still has something special for you.
Uh-oh.
He still
Uh-oh.
has something special for you. So every day you wake up with gratitude on your heart. Be thankful for another day at life. And if you
That's
don't know what your purpose is, it's time for you to seek God so that He can expose to you what you're meant to do in this world. Because there's a lane for you. It's a time that's no better than right now for you to embark on reaching the highest expression of yourself. And we come into agreement with you right now. The Bible says when 2 or 3 or more are gathered in His name, He is there with them. So I pray that you continuously walk in your purpose. I pray that God reveals your purpose. And I pray that you stay in pieces, not in. I'm sorry, you stay in peace. Woo, we rebuke
uh-oh.
that in the
Watch
name of
that.
Jesus.
You better
Okay, we
rebuke
rebuke that. See,
it.
like I said, you can always, okay, ask God to give you insight and discernment. Okay, so you stay in peace and not in pieces. Okay,
That's right.
all
From a
right.
voice and an influence. You know what I mean? Hey man, listen, man, we joked y'all enough tonight, man. Make sure you just go ahead on, man. You know what to do. Next week, man, we're gonna figure it out. We be back and we're gonna have another hot topic for y'all, man. But we wanted to
Yes.
open up and bless y'all with this, man, and let you know, man, we got love for y'all out there, man. You know, and I always leave out with a positive word, man. Like I tell you, man, like the most important thing you can waste is time. Don't
Yes.
allow time to pass you by. Live
Amen.
your life, man. God meant for you to be happy. He meant for
Yes.
you to live life, not just merely exist. So, with that being said, man, believe in yourself. Don't set self-imposed limitations on your life. Don't don't set the bar so short. Don't cap your roof off so short. Get big ceilings, man. Sky's the limit. We love you out there. It's all about the kids with me, man. Hey, man. I appreciate y'all tonight, man. With a voice and an influence, you're going to see more from us. And with that, Sugar Slim, what up, my guy? Take us out.